Welcome to my tutorial on how to draw ginger fur in coloured pencils. I start by using a luminance pencil called Burnt Ochre 50%. It's a really good colour for ginger fur as it's this nice reddish orange colour and is really good for the darker areas. I use it to get the darker lines in on the cheek, and I use very short strokes to keep the fur length short. I then use a pencil called Brown Ochre 10%, and this is a lovely tan colour and it's good for the highlights in the fur, and I just block it down over the whole area. I then put a colour called Primrose down around the eye and the cheek closest to the mouth because that's a nice creamy colour and for that area. With the Burnt Ochre 50%, I then go over the whole area doing little tiny strokes to increase the fur texture. I am keeping a very close eye on my reference photo to ensure that I'm getting the fur in the right direction and the right length. I take the Polychromos Venetian Red colour and add that into the stripes. It adds a nice red tinge in there. I then take the Terracotta colour and also add that to the stripes. It really gives more depth to the fur when you use these different colour oranges and reds instead of just one or two. At this point I've got enough layers down to begin blending, and I use a small filbert brush with Zest It to blend the colour layers in together. I am still keeping my movements short with the blender so that it doesn't smear everywhere and then it just becomes a mess. I still want to further refine the fur texture, so I take my Burnt Ochre 50% luminance pencil and start just adding little tiny strokes through the fur to increase the depth in the light areas and the dark areas, and making sure I keep those strokes quite short because this cat has quite short fur. You do want to keep the pencil quite sharp at this point because you are trying to do really fine detail in the fur. You do need a very sharp point on the pencil to get those tiny little strokes. If you let your pencil blunten at this point, you will get wide flat strokes instead of the tiny little fur strokes, and it won't look as realistic. I just keep going back over the fur area, further defining the edges of the fur and around the nose, along with the rest of the fur area on the cheek. I take my Luminance Brown Ochre 10% pencil and add some of the really tiny little lighter coloured fur bits in. It is quite opaque and it's good for going over the top of the other colours and just adding that little touch to the fur which is needed. I add some more shadows in with the Venetian Red. I'm keeping a close eye on my reference photo as I do this to make sure that I'm not adding too many shadows in, because you don't want to add too much and then not be able to lighten it again. It's very important to keep it lighter and then slowly add the shadows rather than adding too much all at once and then not being able to lighten it. I add some final detail in with the Luminance Burnt Ochre 50% before going over with the white luminance pencil and doing really tiny little fur strokes just to add that little tiny touch of white in the cheek. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial on how to draw ginger fur in coloured pencil, and I'll see you next time. Bye.